No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%. But look, people have a right to be concerned. Ordinary people, the idea that you bounce a check and you get a $30 fee for bouncing the check might change that. Well, first of all, if you look at the report coming out of the Michigan survey, over 60% of the people in America feel they're personally in good shape. They're personally in good shape. But they look out and they say the rest of the world's not in good shape. Other people aren't in good shape. I think inflation has gone slightly up. It was at 9% when I came in, and it's now down around 3%. But the fact is that I think people are just uncertain. And that's why we got to be steady, stay the course, and continue to produce these incredible jobs. And by the way,
hi friends, welcome back. So that was Biden talking about inflation, saying it was 9% when he came into office. And I just want to quickly say it's simply not true. When he said it the first time, I'm like, okay, maybe this guy's just misspeaking. But then when you're saying the same thing a couple times, now I'm just like, okay, now you're just making stuff up. And I want to talk about this because unfortunately it captures the world that we live in, where people are kind of used to this stuff now, where you sort of expect people to just make stuff up. And it's really a shame. And this is something I emphasize so much on this channel is, guys, I just seek the truth, and I hope you do as well. And I hope we can build a community who does that, especially in today's world where it feels like everyone's just making stuff up. And so this is sort of why, honestly, you need people to help you. Like, hey, guys, what's the truth? I'm looking at this. This is, and I just want to make sure we understand this correctly. Biden came in the office January 21st, 2021. And then I can see here inflation at that time around 2021-ish, maybe 5%, something like that. It peaked out maybe around 9-8% in 2022. So these are the numbers that I'm looking at. So I don't know where the Biden is coming up with this idea that inflation was 9% when he came in. It just, the numbers aren't really there. So who knows? The thing is there was a comment recently where really captures what we're in. And this is someone coming from Dimples 8931. This person says, 2 Trump campaign sound bites, Trump without context. I expect better from you, Chris. Trump is a lying liar who lies. I'm a Southern female Republican and know that. The subsidies started with Obama, and we're talking about EV stuff here. Trump could have cut them or rolled them back during his presidency, but he didn't. If your channel is going to be about U.S. politics, why don't you spotlight the worst president we've had in years? I don't care about EVs. What about my kids whose rights to bodily autonomy, reproductive rights, were stripped away by Trump-appointed judges? He only wants to be president again to stay out of jail and make us into a fascist country. So, the reason why I want to go over this particular comment is because I can understand this person's upset, right? And I guess they're upset with me for whatever reason, who knows? But I really want you to understand what we're talking about here. So first he's saying, okay, I want you to be better, Chris. We all know Trump's a liar, right? So she goes to that point. And then she goes on to say that, and I think she's referring to Biden, is if you're going to talk about politics, why don't you spotlight the worst president we've had in years? So I'm pretty sure she's referring to Biden here. She could be referring to Trump. I don't know, but I think that's what she's referring to. But I'm not sure. It's hard to understand. And then she goes on that that Trump is running for president to stay out of jail, etc. The reason why I go over this is because I think this really captures what just regular people feel. They just feel frustrated at the whole system, right? Frustrated with prices, frustrated with our politics, all these things, and are always looking for someone to blame. And if you don't say exactly what someone wants to hear, they get even more upset. So this is just a typical comment that you'll see, and sort of why I don't do politics all the time on this channel, because it's just filled with like lots of bad actors. how else can I say it? And I'll say it really clearly. And I say it clearly every time I'm making these kind of videos that I don't care for Trump and I don't care for Biden. I think that's a fine thing to say. But for whatever reason, people want you to say that you prefer one over the other. I don't really like either of these guys. I'm scanning over very quickly over our headlines and sort of why I'm gonna have to go over this stuff, because I wanted to show you guys I do read everything. Is Trump paying taxes? Who knows? That's what it said here. I guess he might have taken a couple tax breaks recently. A couple things that was kind of interesting. His kid, this is Barron. Maybe he doesn't even want to get involved with this stuff at all. I think that's their youngest, and is saying he declined to be a delegate. And the other thing I thought was kind of interesting is like, look how tall he is. I was laughing. I was like, what the heck? 'Cause there's his parents, right? I don't know how he's like so much taller than his parents. And the next natural question would be, where's he going to go to college? Because actually the Trump kids go to my school, the University of Pennsylvania. Ivanka went there, Tiffany went there, Donald Jr. went there. Actually, Ivanka was there when I was there, and then also Trump himself, or Donald went there also. But I'm spotlighting all these kind of things, guys, because I just want to acknowledge I do read this stuff. I just don't mention it all the time because it's just such a mess in the USA. And again, it just captured the world that we live in. We have a senator. This is on the Democrat side. He's been accused of bribery or taking bribes, not bribing other people, but maybe he is, who knows, but taking bribes. And then his defense is like, I'm going to blame my wife. That's the defense he's taking. It's like, who knows? And the problem is with that is like, and I make no jokes about this, but it's just reality. I guess his wife is being treated for breast cancer. And so then that's an uncomfortable subject, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to blame my wife who's sick. And then obviously we don't want to go in with cameras and ask her all these questions during her hospital treatments. And who knows what's going on with that stuff. I just don't want to touch it, right? And this is sort of like my feelings with this stuff is just so messy. But unfortunately, this is a U.S. politics, and I guess if you pay attention to stuff every day, you gotta like slog through all of this nonsense. Like for example, I asked my wife about this because we're in Korea here. Are the Koreans talking about Trump and this whole Stormy Daniels thing? It's like, and my wife made the joke. She's like, well, for Americans, this stuff is normal for you guys, right? Like for us, just for example, if a president just come out and just like started making up statistics like this, I mean, it would just be obviously a lie, right? But it's weird because we live in this world to where like, well, if my side lies, it's okay, but if the other side lies, I'm just going to talk about it constantly. And the reason why I'm bringing both of this stuff up is just to acknowledge, guys, I think all of these people are bad actors, and I see it. I'm like, look at these headlines. Michael Cohen testifies about lying in official proceedings. So it's like, okay, so this is the witness, which would be, I think he was Trump's former lawyer. So he's going to talk about like, I'm telling the truth now, but I was lying before. It's like what? I can't even follow it, right? Or this is another one where Biden's trying to hide some sort of tapes. I think this is regarding the documents or something like that. Guys, I don't. It's just such a mess. And moreover, and this is where it becomes even more of a serious problem. When we're talking about what is truth, what is not truth, is the situation in Gaza. Like, why am I bringing this up? Because I guess the UN is they're discussing like what are the actual casualty numbers, and I don't want to make any jokes about this stuff. It's no jokes at all, because I think it's actually quite serious. The last numbers that I've been seeing is maybe around 35,000 people have been killed in Gaza. Like I said, I don't make any jokes about this stuff, and unfortunately though, we have like variety of numbers on what this could be, and what percentage of women and children to be. So, for example, the UN are saying it could be 69% could be women and children, and a prior number was 52%. And I'll just say this: I don't think we know exactly. But with that said, I do want to know the truth of these things. Now, why am I bringing this thing up? Because whenever you bring up this kind of stuff, there's people who just have their mind made up already, regardless of what any kind of fact is. And this is not just a one-time thing. This is something that's been going on a long time. I was a professor for about 10 years, and I was actually remember this stuff as well. This is something we talk about in the classroom quite a bit. The whole war in Iraq thing. If you guys are old enough to remember this stuff, and also too, if you care about the truth, you'll remember exactly what happened. Basically, Americans had this weird belief that Iraq attacked us. That's a real thing. Some Americans, and maybe to this day, some Americans still believe this kind of stuff. Just a refresher, we were attacked by Osama bin Laden, who was a terrorist, Al-Qaeda. I don't know what to say. But unfortunately, though, this was the belief. So, this is the data here. Before the Iraq War, majority of both parties, so it wasn't like just one part or the other, but both parties here, the majority, believed the falsehood that Saddam Hussein aided 9/11 terror attacks in the United States, right? So all these people believe that, it was Iraq, they helped the attacks, right? And there's a high percentage believe that. And it was a much lower percentage. So like just in this example, was it 60 to 50, 66%, 57%, something like that, believe that, Iraq was involved, whereas you had in the 20s, said they weren't involved, right? Which was actually the truth. And then you had 15%, something like that don't know. The reason why I'm showing you all this stuff, guys, is that this is a long running problem, and then it came to a head, unfortunately. I mean, you could argue, was it 2016 during that period, or was it 2020 during that period? Because unfortunately, you have people just making stuff up, and you could argue it's both parties. I wouldn't disagree with you. And unfortunately, if you come out and say, hey, X party is lying, you upset some people and other people are happy, and then if you come out and say, well, the other party is now lying, and then you just reverse it and you upset some people and the other people are happy. And it's sad because and why this topic is important. If you want to be successful in your life, be it with money, be it with relationships, be it with business, you need to surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth, who want to tell you the truth, and are comfortable talking with you about the truth. Unfortunately, though, we live in a society where, there's any number of reasons why we live in this current culture, but I'll give you one example, is that on social media, I can, subscribe to whatever channels I want, say on YouTube, and say I want to get the Pro Tesla channel, and then I can just watch literally every day that someone's telling me that my Tesla stock is going to go up, or I can watch my Bitcoin channel, and every day they're going to tell me that my Bitcoin is going to go up. The problem with those kind of channels is they're just literally just making stuff up. And moreover, which is like not just on YouTube, then you have, say, the President of the United States just making up stuff about inflation. If you guys understand my point of this, and I know it's a convoluted discussion, it's a complicated discussion, and I try my best to talk about it in a reasonable way. I'm trying to address the point that I think much of the world, and you can argue about which countries are in this world and which ones are not, because I can't speak for every country out there or every person out there. But I'll just say, at least in the USA, I know that a lot of people get really, really emotional about this kind of stuff. And I think for me, to when I sort of control my emotions with these things, I literally just seek the truth. And if I tie myself too closely to a certain kind of belief, then you run into risk of emotion, right? Like if I really believe, X CEO is the greatest person and the greatest gift of all mankind, or humankind, I should say, then if any facts come out against that, then something that's like, oh, well, the media's all lying, right? And then you just live in this weird, cognitive, disconnect. Or if I want to say that, oh my God, this particular group of people is the reason for all of my problems, right? And unfortunately, this is what a lot of people want to do, is they always want to find a scapegoat, meaning that you want to blame someone else. It's never your fault, right? It's never your fault. And essentially you want to come onto social media and find channels that tell you that it's never your fault. It's always someone else's fault. Unfortunately, if you tell people the truth of like, hey, I'll just give you some example, like, hey, you need to improve your job skills to get a better job, right? If you tell someone like that, like real honest advice, or hey, you can't afford to buy said thing, you should save money and pay cash for something, right? These are just like really basic, honest advice. People actually don't want to hear that kind of stuff. What people want to hear is like, it's always someone else's fault. It's not your responsibility, right? Blame someone else for your problems. Or, hey, don't worry about money. You can finance everything and you can buy it all on credit, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that people want to hear. So I just wanted to make this video because every day I come in and I read the news, and I just want to have a chat with you about it, and hopefully we can seek truth together. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next video.